Hello everybody, this is Maniac4Bricks. I'm sorry I haven't uploaded a mock video or a town update for today yet as per my schedule. I have a bunch of mocks I'm working on in the background, and I probably should get up the Breakfast Club mock. I just have to edit a little bit more of the video before it goes out. But I did want to bring up this question, and I'll throw it to a bat, so Brickstar, feel free to answer this or snippets of the video to use it, but I do want it to be an everybody question. I want everyone to be a part of the discussion for this, because this is something that I feel like we should take a look back and see, is it really the value that we're looking for when buying a LEGO product? Is price per piece a reliable method of buying a LEGO set? And in my opinion, I think it varies. I don't think it's the end-all be-all of, let me buy this set because it has a good price-to-piece ratio. And I've been to the stores where a parent would tell a kid no about a LEGO set because of a certain number of pieces to it. Not necessarily because it's this much money and this many pieces and they don't add up, but rather just like looking at the pieces themselves and how many of those they're going to find under their carpet or under a sofa. But here's the thing. LEGO is about building. You could build all kinds of things with, the same pieces, a very versatile system. And LEGO is a toy. It's been for a long time used as a way of playing, and it still has a lot of elements that make it a way of playing. When LEGO develops a set, they offer a little combination of the two. So that way you have something you can build with pieces that may be familiar to you, some new ones added in, recolors of some pieces, and then you have the finished model that you can use in other scenarios, play with it with other things, or inside of the thing itself. Like if there's a building, you have multiple floors that you can go through and play through with made-up scenarios, imagination. But here's the thing, when it comes to buying a LEGO product, a lot of us will look at the price per piece ratio and try to determine if it's worth the money based off of that. There's definitely a bunch of things that go into the cost of an average LEGO set. And I believe price per piece ratio doesn't really help with making that judgment call. Because the optimal price per piece ratio, I say optimal here for a second, the optimal price per piece ratio most people go to is 10 cents per piece. So if you have a 100 piece LEGO set, it should cost about $10 in your region, like a manufacturer suggested retail price, or MSRP. That is a trend that we've seen in the LEGO community. We've seen this with LEGO products for a long time, and we figure that's probably the best way to judge it. Here's the thing, it's not the best way because of all the other factors. There are things about certain elements that are made and, new molds of pieces. If you have a train set, it incorporates a little more electronics into it. There are other components outside of just molding the plastic that goes into each of these. There are definitely some pieces that cost more than others. There are licensing fees that will make a set more or less valuable. Things like that. So, does price per piece work for every LEGO set? I personally believe it does not. There are definitely a handful of LEGO sets that it does work with, but there are definitely a whole bunch that really don't need to be factored. I don't think that's a way of saying, this was a good value because I built this thing in X amount of pieces and X price. I take a look at something that is a model. Something that most people are going to want to build what is on the box and with the instruction booklet as something that really doesn't matter for price per piece ratio. You could take a look at a creator set and they encourage you to build 3 different things. You can build whatever you want out of it, but that's a nice way of introducing the fact that, just because you build out of LEGO pieces doesn't mean it has to be the one thing. It could be a couple other things. Getting 3 sets in one is the implication, but you also get whatever the parts are, and you could build more outside of that. Or if you have other pieces, work those in. Then you have a lot of other LEGO sets that are just one single build. But you could look at it and say, hey, there's some pretty nice parts in there. I might be able to get that and use those parts for something. I've done that myself, where I picked up a whole bunch of LEGO Minecraft dungeon sets from a couple years ago because I wanted to part them out. I wasn't really interested in building the main model with every one of those copies, like 4 or 5 copies of them. Instead, I wanted to get the pieces from those to build something else I wanted to make on my own. And I definitely have that option as a consumer to do so. And here's where I feel like it doesn't quite make sense. If you have something like Lego Wall-E, an idea set, this is something you can build out of Lego pieces, and you get to build a functional Wall-E figure. It's a nice big model of something based on a Pixar movie, and it even has some play features to it, so it actually can act a bit as a toy too. You can open it up, you have the arms that can move, eyes can move around a bit. It's pretty neat. Do I really have to look at how many pieces it takes to build it? 676 pieces. That's just what they decided was, how they're going to build this thing, how they're going to design this based on the ideas model, and just how it's going to be packaged and everything like that. I'm not going to look at this as a consumer and say, that's too many pieces, that's not enough pieces, or that's just the right amount of pieces. It could be 600 pieces flat, and if it still looks like Wall-E, it's what it is, for me personally. But you also look at this and say, that's pretty odd for what used to be a $70 retail price set, because it doesn't have enough pieces for it. Like, it should be 700. I don't know if that really works. I mean, especially when we have other things factored in, it's a licensing and a yada yada, and it does have printed pieces that also factors into the cost. If anyone who's done custom printing with Lego pieces knows that it takes a little bit more to print it onto the piece as opposed to just applying a sticker. That's why we got a lot of Lego stickers. They're trying to cut the cost down for us as a consumer, and them as a producer. Then you take a look at a set like Lego Classic. This whole theme is about getting a whole bunch of bricks and building what you want. There's very little instructional build for this. They have a bunch of inspirations for models, and a few things you could build by the instructions, but the bulk of this is you get a lot of colorful pieces and a lot of colorful elements, and, have fun with it. This has 580 pieces. It's 10695 Lego Creative Building Box, and something like this, most of us would think, optimal price would be like $50 or $60 or somewhere in between that. But does it really matter? I mean, sure, you want to get a little lower price because more bang for your buck, but if you're paying $50 for a whole bunch of Lego pieces that you could build whatever you want with, you have to think of it like a Bricklink order, and a lot of us sometimes do think about that. When it comes to buying individual pieces we do want through Bricklink or other websites like BrickOwl, that's we have to worry about the cost. Like, is it going to be worth it to spend this much money and shipping to get the pieces we need? And I'm not docking anybody who uses any of those sites or sells through any of those sites. I'm just saying that when you're buying a whole bunch of Lego pieces, I think that kind of matters more when you look at a price per piece ratio, because you're paying for a certain number of pieces for that box. And, the Lego Classic Series has a whole bunch of ranges of sets and parts and prices with that. So that's pretty good. Now here's an example of something, it may be much older, but here's an example of something that kind of tips in the opposite direction. This has less to do about the display worthiness of a Lego set and something you want to just keep the model together because it looks great. I mean, I have the Millennium Falcon behind me, and that's been sitting there for a while. I'm not intending to rebuild that into something else. I like it as the Millennium Falcon. But here's an example of something where you want to build a model, but it has more to do about the play of it than the display of it. Here's a Lego Sports Set 3432. I got this a while ago from eBay. I'm not going to disclose the price as to what I paid for on eBay, but this had 441 pieces, and when it came out in 2002, the retail price of it was $50. I haven't adjusted that for inflation, but assume that this is about the same. I have no idea. It could be higher, it could be lower, but according to Brickset, I'm looking at it through there, it says that's about 11 cents per piece. We say 10 cents is the optimal, so it doesn't seem that great. Here's the thing. A lot of these are large molded pieces that are printed, that are mostly exclusive to this set. And the main purpose of this, when you're building it, is to play with it. Think about somebody that's going through a store, and regardless of it being Lego, just think about it as a playset toy that you can have a bunch of figures move around and play basketball. That seems pretty nice for a $50 thing, a little arena to play in. So that's the other thing I feel like should be factored in, is like looking at a product that is in Lego and comparing it to a similar sized product that is from another toy company. That's basically the kind of thing you're looking at when you're trying to have, like, I want to build this Lego model. You're going to keep it as a Lego model most of the time, and then you have to look at it versus another toy company. I know Jengbrinks has done this several times with Hasbro in comparing some of the Star Wars vehicles with those kinds of toys and getting that same kind of dynamic. And that's pretty good. It's good to be open-minded about that, because you could buy a toy that's based on a franchise, and it doesn't have to be Lego for it to be a great toy. I'm not saying that it's the worst toy ever. I'm saying if you're going to build it as the one model, it's roughly the same thing as having a pre-assembled model from another toy company. Here's something that I feel like blurs the line, and there are a whole bunch of things that could go into this dynamic. This could be about polybags, this could be about certain Lego themes like Unikitty, which recently came out. You could look at this a bunch of different ways, but for right now, I'm using the Mighty Micro set Doomsday versus Wonder Woman, or Wonder Woman versus Doomsday. This is 76070, has 85 pieces, and retailed for $10 originally in the United States. This has 2 minifigures to it, but they're short minifigures, and they're chibi versions of what you would normally see in another DC set. Now, I feel like this could go a lot of different ways. You could look at this as a parts pack and say, hey, there's some pretty neat pieces in there for $10, and yeah, maybe a little bit more for price per piece ratio, whatever. But you also have some unique pieces in here that are specially molded to the Mighty Micro series. You have a couple that are recolored that you might not find in other sets. You know, just part this thing out. You don't have to worry about them being little vehicles. Then you think about it as just, again, as its own toy, without the building aspect incorporated. A $10 toy that has 2 vehicles and 2 characters that you could play with back and forth. That doesn't seem like the worst thing in the world. Sure, a parent might pick this up as a gift. Then let's look at it for what's actually included. You might say, okay, that's really not going to be that great for $10, but here's the thing. You can really go any way as far as the Mighty Micros go. This is the only time you have Doomsday. It's not the worst. This is one of the few times you have Wonder Woman. Sure, it's chibi, but it is one of the cheaper sets that she's available in on the shelf. A $10 set with 2 figures, that's $5 per figure. That might actually cost you less than trying to get each figure on their own or from some other Lego set. And if you think about it, if you're paying for the figures, the rest of the pieces could be yours to use. You could build the sets with it, or you can just use those parts for whatever you want. So I feel like there's a big dynamic of how the price per piece actually works with Lego products. I think it ranges almost every single product or every single theme that is out there. I do also want to talk about another topic, but I'll leave that for another video. I'm already spending too much time as it is, and if you made it this far, I'd like to hear you in the comments below say orange basketball. Thank you for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave your thoughts down in the comments and keep the discussion nice and friendly. We'll see you next time with more Lego videos. I'll get back to some mock building.